Sports Video Group's Jason Dachman. We are at the RSN Summit produced by SVG in Denver, Colorado, and I'm with Kenny Miller of KSE and Altitude Sports. Kenny, thanks for taking some time. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great event.
Yeah, so we love that you guys are on the RSN committee. You and Dave Zur, both huge members of the SVG community. You guys just had a very exciting couple months with the playoff run for both the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. You had the first round rights and then continued to create content all throughout the playoff run. Tell us a little bit about that, how that played out, and how it's going to change things in the future.
Well, honestly, what a great run by both teams. And we thought we'd be doing a disservice to our fans when our television rights and that we didn't continue coverage. People expect our announcers and hosts and reporters who have brought them the Avalanche and Nuggets all year to continue that. So we decided to do Facebook Lives, half-an-hour Facebook Lives, and do pregame and postgame coverage throughout the playoffs, however long they lasted. And both teams went deep into the playoffs. And so we had an exhausted production crew, but it was great. And what we found with the Facebook Live and the Facebook Live format being really unscripted, minimally produced.
Off the cuff, kind of.
Off the cuff, just really talking to the people around the event. We had a moment where we're in the middle of a conversation and there's Kevin McHale. Just grabbed the camera or the camera, went over, talked to Kevin McHale, talked to Torrey Craig, sitting on the bench. It was so entertaining. It was an entertaining half hour. We all turned to each other and said, how do we make this work next year? Because I am so entertained by this. And so we have our pregame show, so we decided to get rid of what we've been doing in the past and try to recreate that next year for both Nuggets and Avalanche by having a half-an-hour Nuggets Live, Avalanche Live on the linear channel, and some Facebook Live stuff maybe even before, but then doing a totally separate format for that half hour, and then a traditional pregame show for the half an hour leading into the game. We just had so much success with that, and what we did also find is that being able on the social channels, the team social channels, to be able to promote the pregame show coming out of nowhere, or the postgame show coming out of nowhere, that we got really good ratings. So that it doesn't take a genius to figure out that all that promotion on Facebook Live and doing that leading into the pregame show, had a lot to do with the rating success too.
Right, it's organic, free press.
Yeah.
Right, and how did you guys get the signals back?
We did, we did normal, our broadcast we have from the Pepsi Center. We have connectivity to the Pepsi Center, but we share a RF unit with the in-game where we just take those feeds. We don't have our RF unit ourselves, but we have live view. And so we used our live view as our RF camera. So when our announcers got up and went, it was our ENG guy with the live view. So they're untethered. They go anywhere in the building. So it was just another way to use the technology, of the bonded cellular.
Cool. And, speaking of, you guys have a lot of tools at home, but when you go on the road, look, straight up, you don't always have, the same ability to connect with the studio and that type of thing. How are you looking to evolve that going into next year's basketball and hockey season, to just really be able to utilize the amazing facility you guys have with the KSE Network Operations Center here in Denver?
Yeah, well, at home we're great. We have a studio. We have 4 send to Pepsi, or 4 receive, 2 send to the Pepsi Center. So we always have that connectivity. And since we're servicing both us, the in-game, game operations, so we always have that connectivity. So we're creating a lot of content at the broadcast center and able to share it, and they're creating a lot too to send it. But how do we do that on the road, right? So, and again, the new technology. Our with our partners with the Switch and Live View has really changed the way we're doing things on the road now. And in being able to send back multiple streams, we don't have to wait for a break to send back all the goals or all the shots or all that and in between those breaks, it's a really important time for producers and talent to talk about, what's coming up, and that, a lot of that was being taken away by feeding the studio because they're trying to get rid of their intermission reports and halftimes. But now being able to take 3 sources and send back a feed, a program feed for backup transmission, send an ME feed of the home truck, which the studio's going to get the replay sequences, the Supermos and all that we take that haven't hit the network in the truck yet. They're going to get it before we do. Right. And then also our output of our EVS that's constantly sending during the game. So our intermissions, post games have never been better. Much richer. But plus, let's be honest, we're creating content from the time we wake up to, when we get to the arena. And to wait for a transmission window to open has always been, oh my God, look at all the stuff we got to feed, right? But now being able to just show up on site and feed all during the day really is increased and really enhanced the production flow.
We'll be excited to see more of that next year, Kenny. It's always a pleasure, man. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for coming to Denver.
Well, if you look at with the scenery out here, how can you not, So
fantastic.
Appreciate it, Kenny.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more reports from the RSN Summit on sportsvideo.org and SVG On Demand.